Jam on toast!
Hey there, welcome to Jam on Camera. Today the toast is to Helix. I watched the first one on Netflix. I put it off for like a month, and then I think I finally threw it on my watch list, and after another month I watched it finally. And I'm really kind of upset I didn't watch it sooner because it's pretty interesting. So let's get into it. The short sale is that there is an outbreak at a private facility in the Arctic, and the CDC guys have to go up there and try to sort everything out. Pretty simple setup. My love for this one is that the show was able to change itself, what it was actually about, just by drip-feeding us information, and not ruin itself like so many other shows do when they go on for too long. Granted, this is one season, but maybe that's the key. Maybe it's to change it rapidly if you're going to change it at all. I don't know. My hate for this one wasn't so much really I hated it, it was just kind of like I was unsettled by it. It was the intelligence in the vectors, is what they call the zombie type people. Because they're not zombies, they don't bite you and you turn, they're not actually dead, they're not magical, it's pure viral, it's like a fancy type of rabies, is what it looks like anyways. I don't want to give anything away, but yeah. The MVP for this was Jordan Hayes, for sure. She is the only character, it seems, that's not rigid. Like, everyone else is very much, I'm like this, I'm like this, I'm like this. And they're very much like that, and then they change at some point, and they become very rigid in another fashion. Jordan Hayes' character, she's the tiny doctor. She's kind of free-flowing, she doesn't really... Not that she doesn't know what she's doing, but she's there in like a very sub-capacity to these two other expert doctors. And the change that she really goes under is that she becomes a peer at one point. And I think that's the big deal with her there, as far as it goes. Well, let's go on to the categories.
Aesthetics.
This looks really good. I have no idea who did the original series, but they definitely had the budget for it. They definitely made the vectors look infected and crazy. They had black eyes. They were using this goop. They had a couple scenes where like there's lots of liquids going everywhere, all this beautiful white snow type things, horrific in some cases. They had explosions and tech and just really impressive visuals, not exactly subtle, but if you start looking at the details, they've got those too. But they're subtle, they're done right where you don't think about them, they don't stand out. You're not going to think back on Helix and think how good that tunnel looked. You're going to remember the thing that explodes and that other thing that happens. And aesthetics gets an 88.
Character development.
I gotta be honest, the weak part of this series is the characters. Like, you don't really care about anyone in particular. You're like, oh, maybe she's cute, maybe they're gonna bang, maybe this guy's kind of crazy, oh. So the individual characters themselves don't really amount to much, especially when they're playing like information dodgeball, or they're just drip feeding you stuff. So they become more interesting, but by the time you get there, you don't really care because they didn't build them up enough in the first place to really make their changes significant, which is a pro and a con, honestly, the way the show changes. But honestly, the characters in this just don't amount to a whole much on their own. As a group, as an event, as a world, as a universe, much more impressive and definitely evens it out a little bit. Character development gets a 70.
Storyline.
This is a great story, and I don't want to spoil any of it for you, but I will say it's not so much in the content, but in the execution. They tell the story really well, and despite not caring about the characters too much, I was really kind of invested in the whole thing that's happening. It's very intriguing how this is happening. The mystery aspect is very strong, so if you can avoid it, don't get spoiled for this before you watch it. It'll help a lot. There's very much a Detective Sherlock Holmes-y type thing going on with the virus and the vectors and everything else that's happening that I don't want to mention right now. Storyline gets a 90.
Compulsion.
I came back to this night after night. I kept falling asleep during it. I'd go back and rewatch a whole episode almost, that like I fell asleep halfway through. It just honestly, totally worth it. Very intriguing. And if you like science-y type stuff or zombies or anything like that, then this is a show for you. Compulsion gets an 88. Now, if we total all that up, we get an average of 84. For my round review, I'm just going to say this is a great show. You should definitely check it out if you can stand horror or a little bit of gore. If you like zombies at all or virus sciencey things, do it. Do it now. And catch up on the first season, because you go into the second season, you're not going to know what the hell is happening. It's not going to make any sense. I guarantee you that. But it does take you through some trips in that first season, and it should make the second season all the more worth it. That's it for me. Have a nice day. I am Camerai.
If you want to see anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations, and they'll take you to our other channels.